Hey guys, what's up? I'm back with my Stamina Sorcerer, and this time we have a build for the Dark Brotherhood patch. Now, one key thing about this build I'm going to say from the start is you want to run all impen on your gear. Right now I'm not running all impen because I haven't upgraded my gear to a new set since I'm using the same thing I used in the past. It's quite expensive to constantly make new gear, but just run impen if you don't already have your gear made. If you have divines like I do, it'll still work, but you will be a little more tanky if you do impenetrable. So anyways guys, let's start looking into the build. Build up. And looking at the stats right now, we have 35,000 weapon damage, 3,500 I should say, 1,800 recovery, almost 40,000 stamina. If you have the Undaunted passives, you will get 40,000 stamina regardless of whether you have the 2%, the 4%, or the 6%. Right now I have 0%. I haven't gotten to leveling Undaunted, but I will make a guide on how you could fast level Undaunted very soon. Now you can see my crit resistance isn't too high, it's 1200. I'm only running one piece of impen armor right now, the rest is from champion points. Now with this build, you have very high stamina. And because you have very high stamina, you'll be able to sustain really well. You're also a red guard, which helps in your sustainability. And of course, Sorcerer passives help to give you good stamina recovery. So we could use dual stat food to get a high pool of stamina, which will give us great damage without having to dump all into damage. Now another thing is looking over here, our weapons and our gear is the Maelstrom's battle axe with sharpened. You always want sharpened for your stamina builds in this current meta. Sharpened is too strong. And even magical builds, sharpened is just the go-to trait right now, especially for two-handed weapons. With dual wield, you can make a case for Nirnhoned and sharpened together. Here, for my stamina build on two-handed, I prefer sharpened over Nirnhoned. Bow of Hunting's Rage, this is also sharpened, but I would prefer defending here because sharpened you don't really need, as you won't need to do too much damage with this bow. This is not going to be like your go-to damage. Now you can use any bow here. I'm using a Hunting's Rage bow just because that's what I had. The point of this bow is to put a weapon damage and spell damage enchant on it, so you can buff up your damage even higher. Now for the two-piece set we're using on the head and shoulders, I'm not a huge fan of this set because of like the bugs that were with it. But this is an open world build and you're going to be playing solo. I would never use this build for dueling. It's too cheap to use Malabeth the Scourger in dueling. So you could go with the Scourger set for open world. And if you want to duel people, you could switch to Bloodspawn. Bloodspawn's also a good set with this build. And now let me explain the reason why you would want to use Malabeth on this build. Again, the Stamina Sorcerer is weak in that it has no healing buffs and it has no cleanse. So if you get marked, if you get heal debuffed, you have no way of getting rid of it. The good thing about Malabeth is you get a 30% heal buff without using any skills. So yes, it's an OP set, but it's best used on a Stamina Sorcerer who lacks the proper abilities like some other classes such as Templar, with the Purifying Ritual, Stamina Dragonite with Igneous Shield. So that's the reason that I decided to go with Malabeth on my Stamina Sorcerer, because I needed the extra healing. The 5-piece on the body is Hunting's Rage. Infused on the chest and the legs, Divine on the other pieces. Like I said before, you should run all impenetrable, and if you don't want to run all impen, infused on the chest, the head, and the legs, and then impen on the rest. But all impen will give you the most tankiness. The jewelry is agility, all robust, stamina recovery, and 2 weapon damage. If you think you could sustain yourself with less stamina recovery, if you have that experience, you could put on another one with weapon damage, and this will increase your damage even higher to 3,800 instead of 3,500, which is pretty huge. So let's look at the skills now. We're using bound armaments on both bars for the stamina buff. As you can see, we have that active right now. Reverse slices are execute. The reason I go with reverse slice is because it does AoE damage. It's not really an AoE damage, but it does splash damage to the targets next to you. So if you use Dawnbreaker and you get 3 people down, you could use reverse slice, and if you execute one of them or even do damage, it will do about 84% of the extra damage onto the next target who's close by. This can help you kill multiple targets with just one attack. Rally gives you the damage buff, of course. This is your main heal as well. Dizzying Swing, your main DPS, but you don't want to spam this too much because spamming Dizzying Swing leaves you weak and open. Stampede, this gives players a snare, reducing their movement speed. And of course, this is a good attack from distances. It's a good way to charge in, good gap closer. Dawnbreaker of Smiting. Now, instead of Flawless Dawnbreaker, which would give you more weapon damage, we use Dawnbreaker of Smiting because it does more damage and it does a knockdown. So that's why you take Dawnbreaker of Smiting. Flawless Dawnbreaker is good, it will give you that extra 5% damage, but it's not worth it. So back bar, the same thing, bound armaments. Vigor is our heal, go-to heal. Hurricane. Hurricane gives you that armor buff that you really need as a stamina sorcerer, and it also gives you a great AoE damage around you, which increases in size and increases in damage. This could give you like 2k ticks, and getting those additional 2k ticks when you're fighting someone is huge. It will help you kill people a lot faster. Shuffle. Now go with Shuffle, of course, you know, removing your snares and getting snare immunity, that's a given. You cannot use stamina build without Sorcerer Shuffle nowadays. Poison Injection. This has become one of the most OP skills in this update. When players are low on health, you will get 4k, 5k ticks from this, which this is pretty much an execute now. 200% more damage to enemies under 50% health. So up to 200% more damage is pretty huge. You can see that 10,000 poison damage over 10 seconds can become 30,000 poison damage over 10 seconds, which is huge. So yeah, this is one of the best dots to go with. Now, if you don't want to use poison injection, you could use arrow barrage, but I would stick with a poison injection because on a stam sorc you want to just eliminate your targets fast, go in there fast, kill your target, and leave. You don't want to stick around for long battles because the stamina sorcerer does not have good healing buffs and does not have a cleanse. If you're fighting any decent players, you will be dead in a few seconds if you don't play smart. My second ultimate, I'm using Absorption Field, but you could use an Energy Overload for a third bar, and if you have a third bar, you would want to take Caltrops on your third bar. Dark Deal. Let me show you what Dark Deal does. It gets you 9,000 health and 5,000 stamina. I believe in PvP that health is half, so it should be 4,000 health and about 5,000 stamina. A great way to sustain yourself after a long battle. You could go hide behind a tree, pop this a couple of times, and then you're back at full stamina and you're ready to go. So for your third bar, if you choose to use it, you want this. Bound Armaments, Vigor, Caltrops you should have, which will be in the Salt Tree, and of course Critical Surge. And the reason you'll use Critical Surge on your third bar and not your second or first is because even though it does heal you and it does give you the weapon damage, the heal is not huge and it's not significant enough to replace Rally. But in a long duration fight, it could help you. So if you have a third bar, go with this. Now looking into the champion points, we have 20 into Warlord. I didn't put too many in here because I'm more focused on my recovery and my tumbling to reduce the stamina cost. If you want, if you're not a red guard, I'd suggest reducing this and putting some in here. If you are a red guard, just keep it the same. 30 into healing, we need the increased healing, we don't have any healing buffs. 30 into precise strikes, 17 into physical penetration, and 90 into mighty. As you can see, I didn't up our damage over time, simply because I just felt this would be best. This would help you, your injection, but Poison injection, it's not really significant enough to invest in because you don't have too much damage over time on a stamina sorcerer with a two-handed. 47 into resistance. This is because they don't have impen. If you have impen, you could remove at least 30 of this and put it somewhere else. 65 hardy, 50 elemental defender, 5 thick skinned. If I didn't have if I had impen, I would take 20 or 30 out from here, and I would put about 20 here and maybe 10 more into these. Okay guys, so that's it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll see you guys later.